Wow, a review after a review? I haven't done this in a long time. I also haven't done a review in this style in a while either, but I have no studio lights, and well, the sun's not out. And I also haven't reviewed a console exclusive since, I want to say, the Crash Bandicoot Insane trilogy. It was exclusive to the PlayStation 4 for a limited time, so I am going to count that. I know I said that I was on a limited budget in my Shadow of the Tomb Raider review, but I found an old cell phone of mine in a drawer, and after being disappointed with 80% of that game, I needed this one as a palate cleanser. This wasn't really on my radar. I generally make it a rule to stay away from licensed games because they tend to have a reputation for being sloppy cash-ins on a popular movie, comic, or whatever. I only cover the ones on this channel that I know to be good. I try to stay away from ones that are bad, as it would be beating a dead horse, unless I can derive some form of entertainment from it. But I know that the Spider-Man games have been met with mostly positive reception since Spider-Man in 2002, which I never really played that much because I didn't own it, and only played its sequel at a kiosk at GameStop. But from what I can recall, they were pretty good. It wasn't until after this game came out and I had already bought Shadow of the Tomb Raider that I learned that Insomniac Games had developed it. I've played almost every single game made by them. They've been the developers behind one of my favorite game series, Ratchet & Clank. It'd be easier to say which of their games I didn't own, which would be Resistance 2, 3, Fuse, Sunset Overdrive, Song of the Deep, and anything they made for the Oculus Rift. It looks like in Sony's effort to try and maintain their ever-slipping control of the Spider-Man franchise, they secured the game rights from Marvel and Disney, especially after Activision bungled The Amazing Spider-Man 2. So with Insomniac developing this game, I knew that I had to get it. The graphics are really good. Not Shadow of the Tomb Raider good, but they're good. In Shadow of the Tomb Raider, it looked like I could reach out and touch Lara's face, and it would feel like skin. But in Spider-Man, the character models look and move kinda fake. Peter Parker looks kinda like Andrew Garfield, only older. Mary Jane Watson sorta looks like Kirsten Dunst, only younger. J. Jonah Jameson looks and sounds almost like the J.K. Simmons version. Aunt May looks very different from any of the movie versions. I love how bright and colorful Spider-Man is in comparison to Shadow of the Tomb Raider, because I like it when a game is bright and colorful and isn't being dark and dreary. And I can actually see miles upon miles of the environment, which is astounding. There's so many buildings, and swinging way down against the street, it feels like that ending scene in the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, where he swings so low that his butt is an inch from the ground. The musical score is so good. It fit right into any of the Marvel movies, and it really got me into the game. The voice acting is great. Peter Parker is a motor mouth and he never gets boring with his quips, and the voice lines were recorded multiple times, as you can hear strain in his voice depending on what he's doing. Spider-Man is an action game. It's a beat-em-up. Some of you, probably my younger viewers, may be thinking that this looks like the Batman Arkham games and how it plays. You'd be right, but those games more than likely got their gameplay from the 6th generation Spider-Man games that were based on the Tobey Maguire movies, specifically the Spider-Man 2 game. As for controls, X jumps and performs a web zip if you're in the air, square attacks, triangle uses web, and circle dodges. R2 lets you swing from webs in the air, but runs and parkours over objects and allows you to wall run. R1 shoots web or uses a gadget. L1 brings up the gadget select. L2 does a bullet time effect, allowing you to shoot web at enemies faster. L2 and R2 will let you launch yourself to areas where a web attaches to, and L1 and R1 will allow you to web an object and swing it around, knocking back enemies until it hits one. As you fight, you'll build up focus, the higher combo meter goes up. When the focus bar is full, you can heal yourself by pressing down on the directional pad, or you can do an instant takedown with square and triangle. You also get experience points to level up. When you level up, you get talent points to put into 3 talent trees, which will help you in combat or traveling through the city. And there is a lot to do: stopping crimes, finding backpacks, doing research, and fighting goons at Kingpin's bases. Doing these will get you tokens, and these tokens will be used to craft suits, gadgets, and suit modifications. Crafting suits will grant you suit power that you activate with L3 and R3, but these powers are not suit exclusive, and can be put into any of the different suits, allowing you to use your favorite suit while using a suit power that you like. Suit mods allow you to increase your defense, offense, or allow you to use other passive abilities, like more experience or focus gain. Combat feels amazing. There's a multitude of bad guys to fight. There's a group called the Demons who use mystically empowered weapons, Sable, which have powerful laser guns and jetpacks, and then there's escaped prisoners who are just kind of regular bad guys. The boss encounters are fun, And the only one that I did have an issue with was Rhino and Scorpion, because Scorpion moves really fast and you have to keep your eye on Rhino, otherwise he'll run you over. The Electro and Vulture encounter and the Dr. Octopus boss fights are probably my favorite. The two Mr. Negative fights were fun, but they didn't leave that much of a lasting impression for me. Spider-Man feels really agile, moving very fast and jumping about. When compared to the Batman Arkham games, which have a similar playstyle, Batman feels very heavy and almost clunky, but unlike the Arkham games, the counter is a dodge instead. Then you can have the counter added to it by dodging at the last second and shoot web and stun an enemy for a little while. Or you can have it upgraded to an instant takedown for enemies with ranged weapons. As mentioned before, you'll gain focus as you fight. I didn't use it for instant takedowns that much, but I use it a lot for healing, because, well, I'm not MLG. I'm just an average player with some moments of glory with an 80 to 20% luck to skill ratio. I use a lot of focus generating skills and whatnot, so I rarely died on normal difficulty. The stealth areas are pretty good, like Shadow of the Tomb Raider good. It's just a city environment versus a jungle one. But once seen by an enemy, it's either fight or flight to try to be stealthy again. Sometimes you just can't get away as you'll be in more confined areas. So once your cover's blown, that's it. Just fight them. There's also 4 stealth sections where you have to play as Mary Jane or Miles Morales. MJs feel more point and click adventure based than Miles. But if you're caught, that's it. Try again. But checkpoints are plentiful, and for some reason, MJ's stealth areas have more bad guys than Miles. Some people have said that they break the flow of the game, but I don't think so because the story is written in such a way that they don't. The story itself, I enjoyed. Peter Parker is 23, so he's been Spider-Man for some time. The villains that are established are Kingpin, Shocker, Electro, Vulture, Rhino, and Scorpion. Peter's also working with Dr. Otto Octavius on artificial limbs, so you can already guess where the story is going right from the very beginning. And I mean, this is in the first 20 minutes of the game, so I don't feel like I'm spoiling anything. And I'm looking forward to the next game, because there's a post-credits scene that sets up a sequel, which I will not tell you. You'll just have to play it and find it yourself, or do what pretty much everyone else does, just YouTube it. Now there's one thing that I think Insomniac Games does right, and that is collectibles. I never feel like that I have to go out of my way to collect things, nor does it feel like a chore to collect things. I was grabbing backpacks, taking pictures of landmarks, doing research stations, and stopping crimes on my way to objectives. It felt like a natural progression, and once I finished the game after 15 hours, I had more than half of the things collected and played for an additional 2 hours and got near 80% completion. And I am so hoping that I get to play as Black Cat in the upcoming DLC, and I'm really hoping for Spider-Gwen to show up as a playable character too. And if not in this game, I hope the sequel. To say that I got my money's worth would be an understatement, because I got more than I expected. So much that I'm eagerly awaiting the new DLC featuring Black Cat. And they say that single-player games without microtransactions don't sell. My question is, why is it always Sony exclusives that prove that statement wrong, Electronic Arts, and Activision, and Ubisoft? Geez, straighten up and fly right, AAA devs.